Are you tired of using low-quality bags to pick up after your dog? Do you get dog poop all over your hand when cleaning up their mess? What you need is a mutt mitt, a strong 2-ply bag that makes it super-duper easy and hygienic to pick up your dog's waste. Check it out on muttmittsireland.ie. Mutt mitts, better than a bag. Proud sponsor of the Big Bark podcast.
It's the Big Bark with the latest of the canines. The Big Bark, all the doggiest of headlines. With your hosts, Dara, Lily, Roxy and Bruno. They're the kind of dogs that you know.
It's time to talk about health, nutrition, training, talk with canine professionals, owners and dogs.
It's the Big Bark, the Big Bark, all the canine stories for you.
Good morning and a huge welcome to the Big Bark podcast. I'm your host, Dara Burke, and I'm joined here by Bruno, Millie and Roxy here this morning. All happy out, sound asleep next to me after their lovely brekkie this morning. If you listen closely throughout the show, you're going to be able to hear old man Bruno snoring, because he actually sounds like an old man when he snores. He really does. He actually sounds like a fella who's 70 or 80 years of age when he snores. So, okay, we've been off here for a couple of weeks. Just didn't have the content there. Been doing other stuff. So it's been, I'd say about 3-4 weeks since we've had an episode. But look, spread them out till Christmas. What have we got coming up today for you? Speaking of Christmas, unfortunately, I have to talk about that thing. We have a little announcement to make there now, in a few minutes. Is in relation to our calendar campaign. We'll be announcing all the details of that. We still have an announcement which will be made next week in relation to our second charity, but we'll give you all the details that we have so far. We'll be doing that in about maybe 5 minutes or so. Today we're going to be talking a lot about the dog bans that are occurring, especially in the UK with the XL Bully type breed, and we'll be chatting a bit about that. And I suppose one horrible story that I saw, hate telling the horrible stories, lads, but they had to be told, which is actually in relation to XL Bullies, and it relates to an incident that happened there about 3 days ago on Thursday last week, and it involves another XL Bully attack. But I'll fill you in on that shortly, because the actual story itself was shocking to hear. But yeah, okay, so that's a big thing that we'll be talking about. We're going to be talking with Samantha Rawson a bit on this afterwards as well. And not just in relation to the XL Bully type breed, but when you're buying a breed, or when you're adopting a breed, or whatever way you're getting your dog, make sure you do your research on the breed. Know what the characteristics are, know what the history is, know who's breeding them, try and get to know the breeder. So Samantha's going to be talking all about that in a while, and I'll be sharing kind of my own story of that too a bit later on. And I'm going to be telling you a really weird, messed up story about, if anyone has been following the news lately, somebody named Toko, who paid $12,500 to become a dog. This is a man who paid $12,500 to become a dog. And surprise, is being shunned by real canines. Oh my God, what's that? Doggy racism, doggy prejudice? Well, no, because he's actually not a dog. So we'll give you a bit more on that in a while. For now, anyway, first story I want to talk about is, so myself and Roxy, this week coming, we are going to be doing a scent-based workshop in just down here in Limerick, and it is out in, I think the Newport area, which is actually Tipperary. I know poor Roxy has to step foot back and tip again. Don't think she's too fond of that, but it is, yes, a scent detection foundation workshop. That is what it is called. So that is happening this Saturday morning on the 7th of October. So we'll have all the details on that for you, next week. and you need a Y-shaped harness and regularly for your dog. I don't know what a Y-shaped harness is, lads, but I'll have to look into that. But I have a harness for her, and I'll go into in a minute now, tell you all about how that works. But okay, anyway, so here we go. Talking, we're going to be talking about like that next week, and letting you know how we gone. I've been taking Roxy on a lot of kind of hikes and stuff lately, and yes, I know everyone's probably thinking, why don't Bruno and Millie get to go on the hikes as well? Because, well, Millie is how do I put this nicely? Millie is an older dog now, and she's not able for the really long walkies. So she's not able for that, but she is well able for her like nice short enough walkies as well. She likes her relaxation. She doesn't like the hilly walks or anything like that. Bruno has hip dysplasia and arthritis, so he's definitely not able for those hikey, hilly walks either. But Roxy, on the other hand, she really is. We got Roxy a non-pull harness only there a couple of weeks ago, and I will tell you one thing, we got it from Petstop over in Childers Road here in Limerick, and as always, thanks to the team in Petstop for everything that we get there for the doggies, for all three of the doggies. They love the pig's ears there. But back to the harness. This thing has changed my walking life. Not my life in general, because that's going to be too far. But it's changed my walking life. It's like with Roxy, it's just like walking a different dog now. She walks by my side with the harness on, and we have one of those Halty. It's a Halty non-pull harness, and it has the Halty, like the training lead kind of thing as well. A double lead on it, but where one goes onto the front of the harness, the other end of it goes onto the back of the harness. So yeah, we have that, and she's so much easier to walk. I've been doing kind of a lot of like my own kind of training with her lately, just trying to get her to behave a bit more. She's still doing a lot of hole digging. Last week, she still rips up a lot of stuff. Last week, she broke my electric blanket, which I have had since I moved into the house here. About probably 5 years or so. 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long I'm living in this house now. 4 years, I'd say, anyway. But, yeah. She ripped up the electric blanket. Like, tore straight through the cable. Bye-bye electric blanket, no longer electric. So that went to the bin and I had to get a new one. This dog, look, I'll tell you one thing. If you're getting pup, just, again, make sure that you do your research, because some puppies like to chew every single thing up. I picked up something else up last week, and that was a tracker lead. So, trying to train Roxy on recall. Now, what did I do? I got a big ass 25 meter tracking lead. And I was like, okay, let's try and get her out in the field out the back here. Lovely big field out the back here that we have. Try and train her on recall. First few attempts started to go very well. Roxy was coming back to me. Very good girl, Roxy. Very good, coming back to me. Then she went crazy and she started doing zoomies. And I mean serious zoomies. But I was trying to figure out, why are you running around in circles? And then I copped on that she was running around me. So she wasn't just running around in circles, she was tying me up with the 25 meter tracker lead. Only for her all of a sudden to look at me and smile. I swear to God she smiled before she actually did this and pulled full force, and I went flying on my ass, my back, maybe banged my head. I don't actually know. I don't know if I banged my head. I can't really remember. Roxy then, of course, came over while I was on the ground, covered in muck on my head because it was very mucky out there. And Roxy comes over and starts jumping all over me, giving me loads of kisses. They say, Daddy, come on, get up off the ground. Come on, stop being an idiot. Get up, get up. Now, I had seen this idea on it's a show that we watch, probably something a lot of people are familiar with, and it's Graham Hall's Dogs Behaving Very Badly. First 3 seasons are available on Netflix. Love watching it, and Roxy is absolutely addicted to the show. But I actually think Roxy is only addicted to the show because Roxy is like, she's watching what the dogs are doing. before they're trained. She doesn't seem to have any interest in the solutions. She just wants to kind of get the idea of, oh, I could do that too. So yeah, I'm fairly sure that Roxy probably got that from that show. But going to give it another try this week on the tracking lead. And I'm going to pull out my drone as well. I have a DJI drone there that I'm going to pull out. And I'm going to let her be videoed. Because, well, you know, I don't exactly like... I don't know, I don't really want it going up on YouTube or anything. But I want to see, like, how she manages to knock me over. Because, you know, she will. She will knock me over. This dog has successfully knocked me multiple times. But be a good thing now to get the old training back on and getting her recall good, because, well, that's something that she really needs. Anyway, that's how Roxy knocked the shite out of me during the week. And my arse, I think, is still sore. My back was definitely sore after yesterday, but my arse is very, very sore after. So she enjoyed herself. I didn't. She did. So I suppose that's all you can ask for. Anyway, let's see, what else have we got coming up? Yes, before I move on. Okay, so a lot of today's show is talking about like these XL bully breeds and stuff like that. But what we want to talk about first is, unfortunately, we have to talk about Christmas. No, a lot of you love Christmas. But it's a bit early to be talking about Christmas. But we have to, because we are launching our 2023 Christmas campaign this week. And last year for this, I had Christmas music here in the background, but it's October. I am not putting Christmas music on in October. Feck that now. No way. No way am I putting Christmas music on in October. That can go on November or December. Who knows? Maybe Christmas Eve I'll show Christmas music on. Alright, anyway, we have our 2023 I Believe in Santa Paws campaign. Keeping the same name as last year because we loved it. This year we are raising funds for 2 charities. We have the first one announced. The first one is DSPCA, who we raised funds for last year as well. And we will be announcing our second charity next week. So, it'll be somewhere down towards the south, down towards the Midwest. One not giving away too many details here. But anyway, we have our calendars this year again. We are dropping the Christmas cards this year because, well, a lot of people didn't want them. So I thought they were very cute. But puppies being on Christmas cards, well, they weren't overly popular last year. So we are focusing this year on the calendars themselves. We are trying to keep the prices in around €12. We will have more details on prices later this week once we have all our quotes and all done up, and once we know like what the printing and everything is costing this year. So we have a fair idea. But for now, the pre-orders will be available on a special price of €10. That's for definite. The calendars will be available on pre-order price at €10. The submission form opens this week on the 5th, which is, I believe that's Thursday. That is Thursday. So, yeah, the submission form opens on the 5th of October. So you can submit all your pictures to us over on our new website, which will be santapaws.thebigbark.ie when that opens. So, yeah. Let's see. We're going to just give you an idea. Last year, we had over 150 dogs in the calendar. Now, if you ordered the calendars last year, thank you very much. We did have to close the ordering about 5 days early due to, after my brother passing away, everything just kind of went on the back burner then. So, this year, hopefully, everything goes well this year now, and we will be aiming to sell approximately 300 calendars this year. That's what we're aiming for, so that we can get a good amount of funds raised. Now, we still haven't decided if we're doing a raffle or not yet. we'll see. We're going to see, and we'll decide that towards the next couple of weeks. At the moment, the raffle is a no, because it's a no because it's a lot of work, but we'll see. We're going to see what we'll do. We might just have one big prize and a couple of tiny small prizes, but we'll know more about that later on in the week as well. We don't have full details on that just yet. But the site, either way, will be available on Thursday afternoon. 12 o'clock Thursday is the launch time for santapaws.thebigbark.ie. You'll find all the details there. Again, raising for DSPCA, and we will be announcing our second charity next Monday as well. The submission form for the calendars to submit your images will be open until the 25th of October. After that, it's gone. Bye-bye. Close. We won't be accepting late entries. So get your entries in as early as you can. We have a couple of terms and conditions this year. Anyone who actually wants their dog in the calendar, they do have to pre-order a calendar as well. Because we're not just, while we love doing things for animal charities, we're not a charity ourselves. So it all depends on the purchases and donations that everybody gives. And to be, I suppose, quite, blunt about it, if you want your doggy in the calendar, you have to pre-order a calendar. So all details on that will be up on the actual site. You don't have to necessarily pre-order now, but we will be following up with you at a later date before the calendars actually go out to go out for sale or go for print. So before the calendars go for print, which will be early November, then, we will be expecting people to pre-order if they want a doggy in the calendar. So, okay, that's only fair. And there was a lot of people last year who didn't. So, if they don't this year, I'm sorry, but you're disappointing your doggy by not having them in the calendar. It's pretty simple, really. It's a beautiful calendar, and why would you not want your doggy to be up on the wall for, 1 month of the year, really, because it's a lot of different doggies per each month. So, that's pretty much all. Every detail then is over on the site. So, one other topic, I suppose, that I'm going to mention before we move on to our main topic, and that is, believe it or not, right, so this is the weirdest thing that I've seen in my bloody life. So, what you have, there is a doggy. Sorry, there is not a doggy. There is a fella over in, I believe, in Tokyo. And this guy, he identified as a dog. Now, I didn't know that this was actually something you could choose a long time ago to identify as a different species. But apparently you can. It's not just identifying as different genders anymore. You can identify now as a different species. So I am questioning the whole way through this. Has the world gone completely feckin' mental? So, this dog, I'm just going to bring up the article here because it comes from a few different papers have this. So, Toko, nobody knows his real name, he's never given his real name, gained worldwide fame after posting a clip of himself in his dog costume walking the streets of Tokyo, but says real-life canines won't treat him as an equal. Imagine that, Imagine that, the dog's sense of smell, and they won't treat him like a dog. It's almost like they know he's not a dog. So this bloke spent 12,500, that's such an English word, this man spent 12,500 to become a dog and said he's shunned by real canines. So let's have a little read of this, because I am really just questioning the insanity of this. It's just insane. A man who spent thousands transforming himself into a dog says he keeps getting cruelly shunned by real-life canines. Toko, a wannabe border collie, rose to fame after a clip of him in his dog costume went viral. The Japanese man, who has never revealed his real name, shared a clip of himself donning the ultra-realistic costume. Now, it does look like a real collie, I'll tell you that much, as he walked through the streets of Tokyo on all fours. But he's now shared that he's struggling to make friends with other dogs that won't treat him as an equal. Now, in addition to this fella walking on all fours, being in a dog costume, I'm also questioning, I'm questioning all that because it's nuts, but I'm also questioning, what corner, is he buying his drugs on? Because it's not the same corner that everyone else is buying up bloody drugs on, people that do drugs and all that. But, this guy is definitely smoking something. He has to be. He spent $12,500 on a border collie costume to realise his childhood dream. He clearly never grew out of his childhood. He's amassed nearly 60,000 subscribers to his YouTube channel. His efforts have interested people, but he hasn't landed any doggy friends. Now, he looks like... Do you know what? He looks a bit like Alf. If anyone remembers from the 80s, the face of Alf, the alien Alf, everyone remembers Alf, surely, if you were around then. To our millennium and younger generations, I do apologise, you probably have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I was born in the 80s, so yeah, that's how I know of Alf. So, he's been facing difficulties mingling with other dogs in the park. He seemed a little surprised and unfortunately did not treat me as an equal. Despite the setback and having made no progress so far, he seems optimistic about another approach for friendship. What's he going to do? Bring treats and give it to them? Oh my god. He said he is looking for other Terrians. That is people that identify as a non-human species. He has one video that has 3 million views. I'm look at some of the comments underneath this. This guy must be back in mad. Good one. Also, someone here is focusing on the fact, first of all, get your facts right. It's not a border collie, it's a rough collie like Lassie. Actually, that's very true. It isn't a border collie. But no wonder real canines won't accept him. What? Because he's identified as the wrong bloody breed? Jeez, this is mad. And this is why I question. What in God's name is going on with the world? It is just gone completely, utterly crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'd love your thoughts on this. I'm going to put a poll up on the socials and on our Spotify in a while, just to see what people actually think of this. Is he barking mad, or should he keep going? So that's what we'll do. We'll put a poll up a bit later on today on Spotify and on Instagram as well. So if you listen on Spotify, you'll be able to see the poll there. Now, let's move on, because that's really got me disturbed. Our main topic today, which is what we're going to be talking a bit about with Samantha, champion dog trainer Samantha Rawson. We'll be talking with Samantha about this. You've all heard lately, and I know our friend Jamie from Trails and Tales has covered this extensively as well on his own social, which has a lot of followers on TikTok. But the XL bully attacks over in the UK, and there's been a number of them lately. There's been a couple of people killed by XL bullies, and now the UK government has taken steps to introduce legislation to ban the XL bully breed. Now, as Samantha will tell you later on, look, when you're buying one of these breeds, you have to do your research. You have to do the research on the history of the breed. You have to do your research into the characteristics and the traits of the breed. And, you just need to know your facts before you get one of these breeds. How strong they are, how much exercise they need. Has the breed history any sort of, violence or anything in its what would you call it, in its history, so this one now was one that happened last Thursday. It was in Coventry in the UK, and a man and woman were taken to hospital after an attack by an XL bully dog. Now, I think what happened here is an absolute disgrace, the reaction by the police. And I'm going to read this out, just a warning for our, I suppose, any more sensitive kind of listeners out there who might you might find this hard to hear. So an XL bully type dog was tasered by police. Yes, the dog was tasered by police, and this is even worse. And then was put in a wheelie bin by the police after attacking a man and a woman in Coventry. Officers were called around 4 p.m. On Thursday last, after the dog violently attacked 2 people on Purcell Road in Coventry. Now, we normally don't cover news from the UK, but this is one that I'm just shocked at. West Midlands Police said the animal was tasered before being placed in a wheelie bin to ensure public safety. Like, I'm sorry, but yeah, okay, the dog might have been vicious and might have attacked 2 people, but putting the dog in a wheelie bin and tase with it, that is the most inhumane thing you can do. I say it time and time again. It is not the dogs that are at fault a lot of the time here. It's the breeders. It's the owners who aren't training these dogs properly, who aren't getting the really bad behaviour out of these dogs. And it's like, look lads, you get a dog, it's up to you to train the dog. It's up to you to get your dog to respect other humans, to respect other animals. If you can't train a dog, get a dog trainer. It's as simple as that. If you're going, like, there are certain types of people who will get these breeds. And I'm going to be honest with you, these are people I would call, not all of them, but a lot of people who get these breeds, they get them because they're bred for dog fighting. They're bred for, like, being vicious. They're bred for guard dogs. And they're scumbags who get these dogs a lot of the time. You have lovely people who get these dogs too. But please do your research. I have 3 Labradors here, one of whom is a Crosswell Bloodhound. We did our research on this breed. Now, Samantha actually gave me a few facts as well about the breed that I didn't know about the history of the breed, which was very insightful, and I'll hear that a bit later on. Please research the breed. This dog is now going to be destroyed. There's going to be a lot of XL bullies that are destroyed on the UK. I, for one, don't agree with the total banning of a breed. I also don't agree over here in Ireland with the restricted breeds list. Now, something else that I talked to Samantha about in our upcoming little segment here in a few minutes. Just to give you an example of some of the dogs that are on the restricted breeds list in Ireland. You have the Rhodesian Ridgeback, you have Akita, you have Japanese Torso, you have German Shepherd, Rottweiler, Doberman, Staffies. Now, I can pull at least a number of those on that list. Staffies, Dobermans, Rottweilers, German Shepherds. All those dogs, yes, traditionally, they have been used as guard dogs, like you would have seen in the movies and all. Doberman's been used as guard dogs in the likes of scrapyards. Same with Rottweilers, German Shepherds. I know on our own road here, there's a house not too far from us, and they've always had German Shepherds as guard dogs. But these dogs are, they're pets as well. They're real pets to a lot of people. Like, Rottweilers are the most goofiest, silliest dogs going. And that's if they're trained right, if they're bred properly. German Shepherds can be the most noble, friendliest dog. Staffies, I don't think I've ever in my own life met an aggressive Staffy. I've met Staffies who are like, again, like real kind of goofballs. And so friendly, so lovable, so like just beautiful, beautiful dogs and beautiful temperament. But this all comes down to how they're reared, how they're trained. So you still have to do your research. You have, like, if you have one of these restricted breeds, you have to have a muzzle on them. You have to have a lead in public all times. The dog has to have, as with anyone, the dog has to be licensed, microchipped, and have the owner's contact information on a tag. Now, only people over the age of 18 are allowed to own a restricted breed in Ireland. But the leads and all have to be strong, have to be short. You need to be obeying the actual laws if you have these dogs here in Ireland. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of small breeds as well. Like, I've like nearly been bit by chihuahuas before. Like Jack Russells. My brother was bitten by Jack Russell when he was only 7 or 8. Like, these dogs, it's in every breed. If they're not actually trained right, it's in their nature to actually be, how do I put this, pricks a bit. Like, I don't know, like it's in a dog's nature to, if they're not bred properly, if they're not trained properly, it's in their nature that they can be vicious as well. So you have to know the breeding. Like, you can't, like they say, there's no such thing as a bad dog. There's only such thing as a bad human. I agree. There is no such thing as a bad dog. There is a such thing as an untrained dog. And an untrained dog, especially certain breeds, can be catastrophic in the wrong hands. Now, I'm not going to talk too much more on that because I've talked enough and I want to let Samantha kind of talk about it here in a moment. And that's pretty much, that'll be kind of bringing us up then towards the end of our show today. So, yeah, I'm going to, I suppose, just take a word from our sponsors here, and then we will be right back with Samantha's segment on like dog breeds and on like the characteristics of dog breeds, knowing like what you have and the importance of that, and the importance again knowing the breeder as well. Stay tuned.
Are you tired of using low-quality bags to pick up after your dog? Do you get dog poop all over your hand when cleaning up their mess? What you need is a mutt mitt, a strong 2-ply bag that makes it super-duper easy and hygienic to pick up your dog's waste. Check it out on muttmittisland.ie. Mutt mitts, better than a bag. Proud sponsor of the Big Bark podcast.
Alright, so we'll be talking to Samantha, like I said, in just a moment. Now, before that, I'm going to kind of give you, I suppose, a few tips that you should be looking at when you are looking to buy from a breeder. Now, I know a lot of people don't agree, and a lot of people will be commenting underneath this and saying, adopt, don't shop. Look, lads, all for that. All for supporting animal charities. When myself and Jen went looking for a puppy not so long ago, we couldn't get one off a rescue because the conditions that were attached to that, the fencing and everything, I would have had to pay €500 to €600 just to secure the area around my home when it wasn't even needed. Because that was the conditions that I would have been able to apply to adopt a dog. I'm not naming the charity or the rescue, but the conditions were just outrageous. And this is why, it's why a number of people don't go through rescues. They go to breeders. But look, I still always say, try to adopt where you can first. And if you need to go to a breeder, there's a number of tips that you have to follow. Right? So first of all, let's see. When you're contacting a breeder, choose carefully what information that you share about yourself. Share info such as if you have a garden, young kids, or other suitable information to let the seller know that you're a suitable buyer. If you notice anything suspicious, like when buying online, like we used dogs.ie when we got Roxy, and we kept everything through the messaging system on the site for as long as possible. If you see anything odd or suspicious, report the ad on whatever site you're on, and report any suspicious activity to your local garden station, not to do too much anyway. Save a copy of any ads as well for your own records. When you're buying a puppy, ask sellers to provide ID and take note of their contact details. You'll have to provide the same and proof of address and transfer, because that's needed to transfer the microchip into your name. Make sure the dogs are microchipped when you get it. Note the microchip IDs and check the microchip certs when you visit to make sure they match, and the seller's details are all on the microchip cert too. Do not purchase a dog without seeing a microchip certificate, because it's actually illegal to sell a dog without a microchip that's fully registered. Ask to see the mother of the puppies, and if you can, ask to see the father too. Make sure the puppy is at least 8 weeks home before taking ownership. Close to 10, 12 weeks would be better. See puppies in their home environment. And do not, for God's sake, do not purchase a dog from someone in a parking lot, or like in a, say like over in your local Duns, or on the side of a road, or another location that's like completely random and away from the house. That raises crap tons of red flags straight away. Ask about the vet who's been taking care of the actual dogs, and ask for the vaccination sorts too. And make sure you have some sort of a contract, or like a basis for a written contract, and ask for a written receipt too. Dogs are here actually provide a template for a contract. Don't bring kids to your first meetings to avoid disappointment in case you decide not to buy a dog. The important thing as well is make sure that you know what you're getting. Like, don't buy a dog without knowing nothing, or don't adopt a dog without knowing nothing about the breed. Let's say, for example, you expect to be getting a small little dog, and then all of a sudden you find out, like, I'm after buying a Labrador, I'm expecting this to be small. I'm after buying like a German Shepherd puppy, this isn't going to get big. I'm after buying a Bernese, this will stay tiny. Lads, know your breed. Research the breed first, because otherwise, if you get a dog that's like way too big, you're going to end up probably giving that dog back, or giving that dog up, because you didn't realise how big that dog is going to be. That is something that a lot of animal rescues see, and I'm sure our friends in the likes of DSPCA could confirm that. They often get dogs surrendered, because I didn't know how big that dog was going to be. If you're doing that, like, you should be, and you're adopting from, like, say, for example, from an animal rescue. Well, lads, I'm sorry to tell you, but you should, if you do that and you get the dog back, you should be blacklisted by that rescue. Plain and simple. Like, it gets a dog's hope up to, like, adopt a dog or buy a dog and then have to give it up. I know there are certain circumstances where people have to give it up. That's understandable, where they have to give it up. But just make sure that before you're, like, buying a dog, you do your research on the breed, please. Because it's not fair to the dogs otherwise having to, like, rehome them. It's really not fair. Like, if you're expecting, like, if you buy a Bernese puppy or Saint Bernard puppy or German Shepherd puppy, for example, and you're expecting a small dog, first tip, look at their paws. When you're buying the pup, look at the paws. The paws are an indication of how big the dog will be. I've always said that. And I look at Roxy here now. Roxy has massive, massive paws. We knew she'd be big. She's already taller than Millie and nearly taller than Bruno. And she's only 7.5 months. So she's going to get bigger. She's going to be bigger than the two of them. She's full of energy. She wrecks the house completely. But we knew when we were getting a lab that we would have a hyper little puppy. Now, she's sound asleep at the moment, making a complete liar on me here, like. But she is a bundle of energy. She needs a lot of walking. She needs a lot of attention. So do Bruno and Millie. They need a lot of attention. They love the attention. So, if you're buying something small, have a look again at the history of the breed. Like, say you're buying a Jack Russell. Okay, I have kids. Is this a good dog to have around kids? I'm buying an English Bulldog. Is this a good dog? Is this a good dog? Does it need a lot of walking? Does it need a lot of energy? Watch out for the likes of Cavapoos, Cockapoos, any of these breeds. You have to, like, know the history of both parents in those cases too. For the simple reason, you don't know, again, like, what health issues they could have. I'm going to be doing a little chat with our friends in Tree Vets in a couple of weeks on the likes of these breeds, like these designer dogs, as people call them. Because, yeah, like, these are breeds, typically speaking, that on their own have health issues, and now they've been crossbred. So, how many issues will they actually have going forward? That is the big question. Like, and it's still early days. These are new enough breed. They haven't been around for a long time, so we need to actually like kind of get an idea of what health complications these breeds are going to have. And I'm sure there's already reports of these. I'll be chatting with the lads in Tree Vets about this in a couple of weeks as well, so we'll have more on that episode. For now though, I'm turning this over to Samantha, and again, look, full disclosure, these are sessions that were recorded previously in the week, so it will be a case that there will be, there will be, like, it's not live, let's put it that way. So, yeah, okay then, and I'll be right back after this. So, okay, a bit earlier on in the show, we were talking a bit about all the news that's going on over in the UK at the moment with the various attacks that have happened, and primarily from XL bullies, and the different approaches being taken now by the UK government. They're looking into completely banning the breed. But we wanted to kind of look at, I suppose, in general, why you have to know what characteristics and what traits your breed has. And to do that, we'd like to welcome back Samantha Rawson again to the show today. Samantha, big welcome back.
Hi, Dara. Hiya.
So, Samantha, this is a very topical issue right now, especially like with the recent attacks over in the UK. But like, I'll be honest with you, for me, I'd be more afraid of a little Chihuahua who could bite my legs off, or a little Jack Russell, who, like, they have a nasty little nip. My brother, years and years ago, God rest him, actually got bit by a Jack Russell down the road from us, and he had to have 4 stitches put in his leg. So, like, there are loads of breeds. It's not just the XL bullies that can be dangerous. It can be any breed, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the XL bully is getting an awful lot of press because there has been quite a few incidents in the UK with them. And now the UK government, I think, has brought in legislation to ban them, or it's in the offing. So what that says to me is that every dog owner has the responsibility to know where their dog has come from, who is breeding their dogs, and the breeders then have a responsibility to breed companion animals if they're selling them to the general public as pets. Excuse me. So what's happened with the XL bully in the UK is that apparently there is aggression in that line of XL bullies, that the line of XL bullies, there is aggression in the background, and some of the dogs have been used for baiting and for dog fighting. So obviously if a dog has dog fighting in its background, well, then it's not suitable as a family companion. So you need to look at the breeding lines. You need to know that your breeder knows about the dog they're producing, because an awful lot of breeders don't these days. And that you need to know that the line of genetics in your line of dog doesn't have any temperament issues. Now, that's very hard to know if you're the person buying the pup. But we all have a duty of care. As you say, your brother got bitten by a Chihuahua. So a Chihuahua can be a dangerous dog, you know, if it's not controlled. A Yorkshire Terrier can be a dangerous dog if it's not controlled. So control and training, and all of my training is done through play and fun. But that needs to be done with all dogs from a really young age. So like as soon as they have their second vaccine, and you can even train them as soon as you get them home at 8 weeks. So if they're not completed their vaccines up until 12 weeks of age, and you get them at 8 weeks of age, you have 4 weeks of training. So, you know, engagement, play, you know, using food and toys to get that dog totally focused on you and engaged with you. So there's no point. The thing about the XL bully is by the time that dog is 10 months old, it's a massive dog and it's a strong dog. So if it's learned that it can drag you down the road, and then it sees something it wants, whether that be another dog or whether it's a person or whatever it is, and it knows that it can pull you down the road at 9 months of age, you then don't actually have any control over it. So I suppose the reason why the government want to ban them is because they have actually killed people, and they're being owned and bred by people who don't have any control over them. So I suppose the British government are saying, right, let's get rid of them altogether. However, in the dog world, what they're saying is if you ban the breed, it's just going to get worse because it'll go underground. So, you have the wrong people breeding them all together. So they don't agree with banning breeds. They agree with trying to promote responsible dog ownership. And that means, training your dog from a very young age and knowing what it's about. So say the Chihuahua, people say Chihuahuas are aggressive. Chihuahuas are little Mexican all-purpose dogs. So they're from Mexico and they're supposed to be good little guarders. They're an all-round purpose dog, which means they're a companion, they're guarders, they're ratters, they're supposed to be everything. But one of their main functions is that they're guarders. And they develop very strong attachments to their owners. And they generally don't like their owners or anything they perceive as theirs being interfered with. So anybody who knows about the Chihuahua knows that comes with the breed. So they're not then surprised when the dog starts being possessive or a little bit protective around its resources. So, you've kind of got to be very aware of that and get the dog used to sharing its possessions. So sharing its toys, sharing its owner, sharing its space with other people and other dogs. So it doesn't matter what your breed of dog is. So say your new pup, Roxy, is a Labrador. So can you tell me a little bit about the Labrador? What do you know about the Labrador, Dara?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot there now. Look, from my own experience, like Labradors, a Labrador I've ever had, they've always had a great temperament.
Okay.
Like, they have a lot of energy. Roxy now has a lot of energy. And Roxy's energy comes out late at night as well, especially. It comes out around like 9, 10 o'clock. I think she thinks she's a bloody cat or something. Like, she has this, like...
Okay, so she gets the zoomies at 9.
Oh, she does. But, like, a lot of energy needs, like, a lot of stimulation. And, like, even lately what I've done is I've got, like, those snuffle mats. And even, like, for walking, she's a very strong breed. Same with Bruno and Millie. Like, they're very strong. Could not walk the three of them together. But... Okay.
But do you know what the Labrador was actually bred for? Do you know the original job?
I actually, believe it or not, I actually don't.
Okay.
I know they originally come from, I believe it's the Labrador region over near Canada that they actually come from.
Yeah, great.
But as to what they were bred for, I don't actually originally know. I don't know the deep history on it.
Okay, so the Labrador was originally bred to help fishermen bring in the nets. Okay, so they are known as fishing dogs. So the story goes that when the fishermen were selling their wares to the British noticed what a gorgeous dog the Labrador was. And then the fishermen started to get more money for their dogs than they did for their fish. So they became popular with the British gentry, if you like, and they started to use them for hunting game and retrieving birds. So they then became the British sporting dog. So an awful lot of people mistakenly think that the Labrador is actually a British dog when it's not. It's a Canadian dog, and its original job was to help fishermen retrieve nets, and to help them actually retrieve fish. So that's why the Labrador is called the Labrador Retriever. It's actually a retrieving dog. And that's why they love water. And they also have a great memory. So if you throw a ball for a Labrador, they will usually remember where it landed. If they see it land, they usually remember where it is. And they also have an amazing appetite. So they're food mad. And there's no evidence for this, but it is believed that they were kind of starved and they only got food for actually working. So their food was probably a few fish when they're actually working. So they think that there is a bit of starvation back in the genetics of the Labradors, and that's why they're a little bit food mad. But they will do anything for food, and they will do anything for a toy, because they have a really, really strong retrieving instinct. So that's your history of the Labrador, Dara. So does that make sense now that you know?
Do you know what? It actually does, because look, I haven't really got Roxy out to any water yet. With the wet, well, I suppose if you count on the rain that we've had over the summer, but haven't really had a chance to, we used to take Millie and Bruno to the Clare Glens, for example, and let them go into the water up there, and they just love it. And it was very interesting story actually for you. The first day that Bruno went into the water, he was very nervous about going in, but when we got Millie then, Millie just jumped straight into the water, and straight away just Bruno jumped in after her, followed her. There was no more fear anymore.
Okay.
It was gone. It was
Yeah.
like, it's like, well, if she can do it, I can't have her show me up. But it's almost like, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
It's almost like at times that there's nearly a competitiveness to them as well. So yeah, it's like when they're playing outside, like there's always a real competitiveness to the three of them to be the one to actually retrieve the ball. Like,
Brilliant. Okay.
And like,
Oops.
I definitely find that, especially with Roxy, like she's just, but she's.
And do you ever use floating retrieve toys? Then would you ever use a floating retrieve toy for water-based games?
I have in the past. I have one there on the floor. Actually, it's one of the Nerf ones, and it's I'll show it to you there if I can bring it. Actually, my camera's not working, so I can't show it to you. But it's one of the Nerf ones, and it's like almost resembles a stick, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
okay, great.
I've used that one before. It floats. It does. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Brilliant. Okay. And did you happen to mention? I know we're kind of going off topic a wee bit, but did you say there that the dogs are competitive over the ball?
They do seem to be, especially Roxy. Okay. It's like they always want, like, look, there's loads of tennis balls here, but she always wants to be the one to retrieve all of them.
Okay, so here's a tip for you. Here's a training tip. When you're playing with dogs, you never play with one or two balls. You've got to play with loads of balls. And from a training point of view, especially with Roxy, because she's young, you don't take her out with the other dogs. You've got to teach her how to retrieve to you. Because sometimes what happens in dogs, and I see this a fair bit, is that one dog is chasing a ball, but the other dog is chasing the other dog, if you know what I mean.
I get you. Yeah.
So they lose focus on what they're actually supposed to be doing, and they end up just chasing the other dog. So I would strongly advise that you take Roxy out by herself and play with two balls. So when she retrieves one and she drops it, you just throw the other one. So it's really important that she learns to play retrieve with you rather than the other dog's always being present. Because you've got to make sure that she doesn't get that game confused in her head. And that the whole idea of trying to play retrieve, as far as I'm concerned, Dara, is from a control point of view that your dog is totally focused on you when you take it out in public. So it doesn't care about other dogs, doesn't care about other people, it just says, give me the ball. And that you get a dog that'll play a ball with you in a public place, that'll keep you out of trouble most of the time. It's your get out of jail card. So, because a dog that's focused on you isn't focused on anything else.
Okay, so going back, I suppose, to the breeds then, like the different types of breeds, is there, like, different, say, breeds? Obviously, collies need a lot of stimulation as well. Like, labs need a lot of stimulation.
Yeah.
What other breeds, like, need to be really, really stimulated and, like, need a lot of exercise?
Well, it's not about kind of stimulation, because sometimes dogs can get overstimulated and over-aroused, and then they lose the plot altogether. So sometimes you think you're trying to train the dog. I mean, I say for instance, I have a Belgian Malinois, right? So high energy, high drive, wants to work, wants to be trained, wants to do stuff. But I had her out yesterday and the training wasn't going as well as I expected. And the reason why was because she got too high on the toy. So she got so high on the toy that she couldn't actually listen enough to figure out what I was trying to teach her. So today I'm going to take her out and just bring food, and I would play with her when the session is finished. So sometimes the toy sends them over the top. So you've got to be careful that you don't overstimulate dogs. So yes, dogs need to be trained and they need to be engaged, but sometimes with high drive dogs, they actually get over the top too quickly. So again, what I would say about Roxy is, instead of trying to keep her stimulated, you probably need to go the other way and teach her how to relax, especially when it comes to 9 o'clock at night. So there has to be a cutoff point. So an awful lot of people with collies will say, oh God, that collie just never stops, because nobody's ever taught them enough is enough. It's now downtime. So it's really important, say when you're playing with Roxy, so I would only maybe play with her for 10 minutes and then spend another 10 minutes just calming her down and stroking her from collar to tail and just bringing her down so she learns how to relax. So it's not all about being high and being stimulated. You've got to, every time you play with them, you've got to spend as much time trying to get them to relax and to bring them down again. So that's as equally important. So, because some dogs go over the top then, and they're as high as a kite.
Okay. And I suppose, like, just coming back again, like, to our original topic, like, we know in Ireland you have the restricted breeds list. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who don't agree with the actual list itself, but let's say, for example, I'm looking even at the list here online, you have, like, the Doberman, you have Rottweiler, you have German Shepherds on it, you have Akitas, you have Staffies on it. Now, a lot of these, historically, a lot of these dogs, like you have your Rottweilers, your German Shepherds, were used as guard dogs. So, in a way, is that why they're deemed to be more aggressive?
To be honest with you, Dara, I don't think it's the breed. The government will put in a list of breeds, but what I think they're really trying to control are the people who own these dogs and are attracted to them. So there's a certain type of individual that are attracted to these kind of macho type dogs, for want of a better word. So it's about the legislation trying to control the people and say, right, well, if you own one of these dogs, you now have extra responsibility put on you than somebody who owns a Labrador, because it's a certain type of person that owns these dogs. Okay. So it's not the dog. It's the person who owns them that isn't responsible. So they have a greater responsibility if you own these dogs. So I don't like the dog being kind of signaled out. I would put it back to the owner and say, right, if you own an Akita, or if you own a Doberman, or if you own a Rottweiler, I mean, Dobermans are absolute soft as anything, right? I mean, I've never met an aggressive Doberman, ever. Dobermans are lovely, soft, scatty, quite spooky dogs. But, they have a reputation because they've appeared in films and stuff, and they're used as guard dogs. Rottweilers originally were droving dogs. They were used to drive cattle to market. So obviously then they're a bit like the collies. So then they would guard their stock, if you like. And then they became, again, they've been used in films. So they got a reputation of being big, powerful dogs. But their original job was, as I say, droving. They were drovers' dogs. So there was never a hint of aggression in them. But they just got tagged with that because the wrong associations were made with them. Okay. The German Shepherd, again, were flock guarders. They were flock controllers. They were never used as, they never had a reputation for being aggressive. But they were then used by the army in the First and Second World Wars. So they got a great reputation as being a great one-man dog. But again, their original purpose was to control sheep in fenceless fields. There were no fences. So they were used to control sheep. They were like an animal fence, if you like. So you'd have a couple of shepherds just keeping sheep within a field because there weren't any fences. So that was their original purpose. The Akita is a very loyal dog, again, that would protect their area and protect their property. And I suppose the thing about the Akita is to read an Akita is very hard because they don't give anything away. Their ears stay still, their tail stays still. They don't give anything away. And that's why they would be considered aggressive, because you can't read them. They keep their cards very close to their chest. So it's not that the dogs themselves are aggressive. They just seem to attract the wrong type of person.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so, I suppose, when getting a dog then, and when people are researching the breed, what would be the main things that people should be researching?
Okay, the breeder. So my mantra is, Dara, is nice people produce nice dogs. Good people produce good dogs. Bad people produce bad dogs. Because a good person and a nice person cares about the dog. So they care about the bitch. They care about the father. They care about the person who's buying their potential pup. They want that pup back. If anything happens and their circumstances change, a good breeder will always say, please let me know. I would like to know where my dog is. So, it's the person who sells a dog who doesn't care where it ends up. Then obviously they don't care about the pup. They don't care about the bitch, probably. They don't care about the father of the dog. They don't care. So that's why I say nice people produce nice dogs. So when you're going to see a litter, you need to interview the person who's breeding them and see how much knowledge they have. Because if they don't have any knowledge, then they don't care. Because if they cared, they'd have the knowledge. They would be interested. They'd want to find out. The other thing then I always say is spend time with the litter. So, maybe see the dogs being fed, see the dogs being handled, maybe see if you can stay long enough for it to feed the puppies yourself. One of my dogs that I bought years ago, I actually went over to the UK and I stayed the night with the breeder. So I was with that breeder for over 24 hours. So I knew about my puppy and I knew about the people who'd produced her before I even bought her. So it's about getting to know the person who's breeding your pup. And if you don't like the person, then move on. And there are loads of litters out there. And this dog is hopefully going to be with you for 15 years. There are people who, put more time into buying a car than they do into buying a dog. And this dog is a living, emotional, sentient being, that is going to share your life, please God, for 15 years. So please put an awful lot of thought into it. I mean, we pick our partners. We spend 4 years or longer with our partners before we commit. This is a 15-year relationship. So please do the research and make sure that the person who's produced your pup is a nice person and you like them and they will be there for you and they will be there to help you and support you over the 15 years of that relationship. I mean, that lady that I spent the night with, my dog died at 10. I was still in touch with her. I was in touch with her for all of those 10 years. And after that, I was still in touch with her. So, it was about as much having a relationship with the breeder as much as the dog.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you now. And even when we went to pick up Roxy, I was in touch with the breeder for about a week beforehand. And we drove up to, Jen finished work at, I think it was about 5 o'clock she finished. And we drove to Roscrea that evening. It must have been 9 o'clock when we were leaving there. We spent about 3 to 4 hours just chatting away to them, and just playing with the dogs as well. And the dogs were happy out in the lawn with their young grandkids all day as well. So you could tell as well, the dogs were very well socialised. Now, very interesting, what he didn't tell us was when the papers came from IKC, I looked at the name of it and she was named the Fruity One. And I was like, jeez, lads, you didn't tell us that beforehand. It explains a lot now, But the Fruity One. And, look, it was just it was kind of one of those laugh moments, but we still regularly send pictures and videos to them. We're still in touch with the breeders as well. So, they love seeing the pictures and the videos of Roxy as well.
Yeah, brilliant. So, it's as much about the person. So, again, my mantra is nice people produce nice dogs.
Absolutely. And look, Samantha, we're going to leave it there for today, and we'll be back with you then next week, where we'll have a new topic on next week as well. So we'll chat to you next week.
Thanks, Sarah.
And a huge thank you again there to champion dog trainer Samantha Rawson from the Canine College for coming into us and chatting to us all about different characteristics of dog breeds. She gave me some wonderful information actually on Labradors here, as you heard. I never knew the original history of the Labrador was they were used by Canadian fishermen. Always knew Labradors were from Canada, but a lot of people have this idea that they're originally from England. You can argue with me on that, but you'll lose, because the name alone, Labrador, is actually a region in Canada. So that is where Labradors come from, but I never knew that they were, I suppose, used by fishermen to reclaim, retrieve the nets and all that fishermen threw in. Very interesting story, and it explains how they actually came over this way as well, over this side of the world. So thanks for sharing that, Samantha. And that is all the time we have. Don't forget, our I Believe in Santa Paws campaign goes live this Thursday, 5th of October. We'll have all details up on social media in the next day or so. And we'll be keeping you updated. We now have a TikTok page. Yes, I believe it's called Big Bark Podcast Official. I'm going to double check that for you. Yes, Big Bark Podcast Official. That is our handle over on TikTok. There's 2 handles technically there. The other one, I can't get access to. It was the original one. Can't get access to it, so go with Big Bark Podcast Official. just a few funny videos, behind the scenes kind of stuff is what we're doing over there. We have our Instagram page, we have our Facebook page, we have our X, is it? Twitter? X? Whatever you call it now. X formerly known as Twitter. We don't really use that too much. But the Big Bark Podcast on all of those. So, that's all we have time for. Be sure to follow us on social media. Thank you to Samantha for joining me today, and thank you to Muttman's Ireland, our sponsor, our primary sponsor for today's show, and Canine College for sponsoring Clever Canines. We will be back next week, where we will be bringing you kind of a small bit of information on Halloween. And we'll be telling you how to, I suppose, keep your dog safe in the run-up to Halloween. We wanted to do this a bit earlier this year because there's no point in telling you the week of Halloween how to condition your dogs to sound, how to desensitize your dogs, what products you should be using in the run-up to Halloween to help your dog stay calm. We're doing that a bit early this year, but we will be having an actual Halloween episode. So we will have details of a Halloween competition up online in the next few days as well. And try and get your doggies in costume. We have a load of them here on our October for this year of the I Believe in Santa Paul's calendar. And I'm looking right up right there now in front of me. And there's a load of doggies all dressed up. There's one dressed up as I think he's a king. I think he's the king of Ireland or something. There's another one dressed up like surrounded by pumpkins. There's another one dressed up as a pumpkin. I think there was one holding a knife or something. Roxy likes to hold knives, so I might get her in a costume of that. Yeah, funny story. I'll tell you about that next week. That's all the time we have today. As always, follow us on social media. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on the BigBark.ie. Subscribe to our newsletter over there. And we'll be getting that back on running again soon. For now, myself, Bruno, Millie, Roxy, we are all going off for our lovely morning walks below in the lovely campus below Newell to hopefully meet up pals Maggie and Susie, who they love to meet out and about. Take care, guys. Give your doggies lots of hugs, and we will see you next week.
It's the Big Bark with the latest of the canines. The Big Bark, all the doggiest of headlines. With your hosts, Dara, Millie, Roxy and Bruno. They're the kind of dogs that you know.
It's time to talk about health, nutrition, training. Talk with canine professionals, owners and dogs.
It's the Big